this morning, tuning out troubles. I thought this place would be filled to the brim. I'm glad to see it isn't, because I know that there aren't too many troubles amongst us, especially self-realizationists. Tuning out trouble it brings in the subject of vibration, a very important subject. As you listen to the reading this morning, everything is vibrating. Everything is vibration. Even the metals are vibrating light atoms. And so those vibrations are throughout this creation. In fact, this creation comes from one great vibration, the cosmic sound of Om. Now, what are troubles? They are certain vibrations. They are not all vibrations, because there are times when we are not troubled. But troubles are certain vibrations. We will come to just what they are in a minute. So everything comes from one great vibration, the cosmic sound of Om, the Amen of the Mohammedans, the Om of the Hindus. They refer to that one cosmic vibration, the granddaddy, so to speak, of all vibrations. And everything in creation is produced from that by varying the rate of vibration, that's all. Now, matter is one sort of vibration. This worldly existence in which we live, and the substance of matter, is the cosmic sound of Om vibrating at a certain rate of speed. So also is mind another form of vibration. Even that subtle thing known as mind within us is nothing but vibration. Of what? Of mind stuff. And what's mind stuff? A high vibration of cosmic energy, known as the great cosmic sound of Om. Intelligence, reason, are vibrating thoughts, that's all. And so everything is vibration, if we will but realize that. Senses. The senses are vibrations of what? Life force in us. And those vibrations of life force register certain vibrations on the lake of our mind. Sometimes they're pleasurable, sometimes they're painful. I asked the Master one time, why do we dislike the painful sensations and enjoy the pleasurable ones? He said, you've got a question there. He thought a little bit and he said, because God created it that way. We enjoy the pleasurable things. And so everything is vibration. And that vibration is found in the cosmic dream. This cosmic dream which has produced all things is nothing but a vibration of the one eternal cosmic energy of God, the great cosmic sound, the holy vibration. Everything comes from that. That produces the cosmic dream. Now there is another vibration, which is higher than this cosmic dream vibration, if I can call it that, and that's the vibration of God's consciousness, your soul, His presence within each and every one of us. That's a vibration, because the Spirit of God moved, and that Spirit is within each and every one of us. And so remember now, in coming to trouble, trouble is found where? Remember this now. Trouble is found in the cosmic dream vibration. You can prove it. In your deep moments of meditation, the cosmic dream vanishes from you. Is there any trouble in that other feeling which you have? The bliss of God? His peace? No. Therefore, remember that. If you want to supersede trouble within you, you have to learn at will to rise above this cosmic dream vibration. I was going to say that's all, but I won't, because it is quite difficult. But that's the modus operandi which you must follow, is to supersede the cosmic dream vibration with the realization of the underlying cause of it, which is the presence of God within you, your own soul, my soul. That, in a few words, is the lesson this morning of tuning out troubles. You know, in your television set, you start to tune it, at least it used to be so in the older sets, and you get the greatest array of light and shadow and turmoil that you ever saw. But behind that turmoil is the clear picture, isn't it? Because when you tune it just right, then comes the clear picture. So behind this turmoil of our restless minds is the clear picture of God's presence within us. You have to learn to tune it in, that's all. And therefore, by tuning in the clear picture, you tune out the troubles which are found in this outward drama of life, this cosmic dream. Now, what are troubles? In a more exact way, they are certain states of vibration of consciousness which disturb the lake of our mind and make it restless, make us restless. And the second thing is the attachment to that restlessness. That's all. That's what trouble is. Certain vibrations which disturb the lake of our mind and our attachment to that disturbance. That's what troubles are. Nothing but that. Now, if you can learn to still the lake of your mind so that the restlessness disappears, there'll be no trouble. As soon as you come back from that higher state of consciousness, that restlessness will be there. Those waves in the lake of your mind will be running back and forth, but you'll learn to supersede it. When you can still the lake of the mind, there'll be no trouble within you. It is difficult because of our attachment to this cosmic dream consciousness in which our mind operates. Remember, trouble is in the cosmic dream consciousness, worldly consciousness. It is not in your soul, in my soul, in the presence of God within. There's no vibration there of outward consciousness. There is the unity of God's presence, which vibration is peace and bliss, fulfillment. There's no end to it. But it is a single vibration. There is not this storm of restlessness like we have on the lake of our mind in outward consciousness. So clearly picture within yourselves the cause of troubles. Then you'll know which way to go. And of course the way is pointed out to you in following the techniques which our Master has left for his disciples. Now, this one thing to remember is when this vibration is dynamic to your consciousness and produces the restlessness in the mind, harmony cannot be there. Inharmony results. That's the first thing to remember. Harmony cannot stay when there's movement of that type, of restlessness, nervousness, temper, anger, all those things, plus the attachment. When that's there, no inharmony harmony cannot reign. Inharmony is there. Now, said in another way, it is this. We are identified with the dualistic turmoil. Remember that word. The dualistic turmoil. In the outward world, isn't there a turmoil all the time? It's getting worse. We are identified with it. And because of that, we are restless, nervous, and all the things that go with it. That's the nature of this dream. Master said, this is not our home, this cosmic dream consciousness. Our home is in the infinite presence of God, His great light in our cosmic home of light. That's our home. But we're satisfied with this place. We shouldn't be. We're here. We have to play our part because we are His children, but we do not need to be satisfied with it when we have a great home right within ourselves, which when expanded will take us to the great cosmic home of light. We have that. Why are we satisfied with this cosmic dream of trouble? Because we've committed the greatest sin, which is ignorance. We do not realize that we are God's children and not subject to this thing. God wants us to enjoy this play as a dream, but not as a reality. We have to learn that lesson. And so, because of this dualistic turmoil, which means we are identified with the transient, changing consciousness of worldly existence, because of that, we become like that transient, worldly, oscillating state of consciousness. We become that. And therefore, because we are one with that, we cannot understand the paradoxes of life. And there are plenty of them. The injustices are numerous. But because we are identified with the changing aspect of ourselves, we cannot view that aspect from the high point of soul consciousness and see clearly that it is the dream that produces all the trouble. These paradoxes cannot be understood with outward consciousness. You cannot understand them with mind. You cannot understand them with reason, nor feeling. They just do not enter into your consciousness as just and sound, and they are not from this consciousness of the worldly dream. But on the other side, when you see the one light from which they have come and recognize that as the source of this outward living, then you can understand the paradoxes and they mean nothing to you. When you wake from your dream, does what you went through in your dream amount to anything? No. You know it was a dream. And so we have to wake up in God. Then we'll realize this outward consciousness as the source of trouble and the source of all our discomfiture and our sadness and sorrow. But in God that all disappears. Just like when you wake up in the morning, where is your dream? It has gone. And you know it has gone. And when you wake up in God, this cosmic dream will go and you know it is gone. And from then on, it'll be much better than in this cosmic world, this dream in which we live. These are important things to remember when we talk about tuning out troubles. Now, because we are identified with the paradoxes of life and the injustices and the restlessness and the turmoil that goes with it, what is aroused within us is fear. And fear is the worst thing. Fear makes us slaves to restlessness and nervousness, and the least little change in our state of consciousness, discomfiture, makes us subject to that. Naturally, we're in trouble all the time. Fear is the basis of it. But in the presence of God's great light within you, in His love and in His nearness, fear cannot exist. We must eradicate that. And eradicating fear, most of our troubles will vanish. Because when you feel the nearness of God and feel your oneness with Him, trouble cannot stay long. Inharmony must go. So now, because of this fear and our attachment to restlessness, instead of having that conviction and that power of God within us, we lack it. And we cannot face up to the little troubles even. You stop and think. You get upset every day, and you stop and think what upsets you. A trivial thing. Somebody looks sideways at you, or any little thing like that. Somebody passing the street and didn't look at you. What of it? It's because we're attached to this outward living that we cannot face up to our troubles. And of course, some we do have to face up to. Some are severe, and some are very undesirable. Now we come to the point how to tune out these troubles. First, let us realize prevention is a very important thing. Prevention is very important. We have to avoid running into troubles. And the first thing in prevention is to live up to and be loyal or understand the health laws. Now you will get away with it for a little while when you break laws of health, because nature is very resistant, very tolerant. But there comes a time when you will have to face the results of your previous wrongdoings in breaking health laws, with the result that unexpected troubles will come of body, and then consequently the mind. And then consequently, the worst of all, the ignorance of the soul sets in, wherein you do not realize your divinity and that you are subject to this outward dual consciousness. So the first thing in prevention is to live up to and carry out and obey the laws of health. As I said, nature is very resistant, but there comes a time when she cannot carry any further. And then perhaps later in life, these things will set in upon us, and we will have forgotten that we have broken, perhaps earlier in life, certain health laws. We have to pay. That is one of the sources of trouble, and the prevention is to live up and obey the laws of health. Now next comes the moral law. One transgression leads to another. And soon the habit is formed and the conscience is blunted. And it's all right to do the things you know you shouldn't do. And the same result is in the end, that there'll be trouble and those things will come in upon you, and you will have forgotten perhaps that you have built up those bad habits by disobeying moral laws. And thirdly, in regard to prevention is the spiritual law, and the disobedience to that is the worst thing. Why? Because ignorance comes in upon us, and we forget that we are God's children, and our heritage is to be one with Him. That's the worst sin. So it is well, early in life, to follow and obey the spiritual laws of the Scriptures and the saints who have come on earth, and regularly give some time to communing with God, and thereby you will not lose your heritage. You'll realize yourself as one with God. So those three things are important in prevention of trouble. Now, the next thing is, or the second thing we should realize, is that vibration is very powerful. Vibration is extremely powerful. And troubles come from gross vibrations. Troubles are not in the higher spiritual vibrations of the presence of God within. Troubles come from gross vibrations, as I have said, found in this world existence. Now, vibration is very important. The thoughts of others, although you may not think so, affect you very much. And so we should watch these things. Thoughts of restless people, thoughts of nervous people, thoughts of people who display temper, and the thoughts of people who are mean, they affect us without question of a doubt. That's the important thing. The second thing is this, to remember that those thoughts or those vibrations in which you are in tune with affect you most. Now, if you're a little nervous, I was going to say if you're too a little mean. You're not mean, I know that. But if you're a little nervous, and you mix with nervous people, what's going to be the result? You're going to feel, that is, your body will feel the results of that mixing, that environment. Because vibrations are powerful. Vibrations of thought are very strong. We must realize these things. And so some people live and talk sickness. As they say, they enjoy ill health. And I always tell the story of one patient. His name was Mr. Jones, and every time he came in, "How are you, Mr. Jones?" "Terrible. Never felt worse in my life." Well, if I wasn't careful, I'd begin to feel the same thing, because the vibrations are there. Then there are some people who are weak-willed. They do not have any, what do you call, an umph or something? They don't have that. Their will is weak. Now, if you mix with those people, you are bound to be affected by that, without question of a doubt. And so, all of these vibrations of which I have spoken are very depressing. Very depressing. And remember that you are, if you are in tune with any of those characteristics, or rather if you have those characteristics within you and are in tune with those people, those vibrations affect you most. Therefore, stay away from them, if you possibly can, until you are so grounded in the presence of God you can resist it. But watch your environment. In a gathering as this, or in self-realization meetings, you are not in that vibration. You are in a different vibration. And remember, as you strike the piano key and you listen to the violin held up, you will hear that violin vibrating in tune with that piano key. So with each and every one of us. We will vibrate in tune with those people who express these different vibrations if we are that nature ourselves. So watch that one thing. It's very important. Vibrations are strong. Thoughts are strong. And if you are of that nature, you will vibrate in tune with that vibration. Avoid it. Avoid people who pull you down, who make you restless. Mix with those people who lift you up toward the presence of God. And so that brings us to this point. On the other hand, there are people who are very kind and good and loving. And their vibrations affect us in the same way. Saints, saintly people and devotees, if you mix with them, as I know you do, you will receive that same vibration of love and understanding and kindliness which flows through those children of God. And so, on the other hand, on the other side of trouble are those people who have good vibrations, helpful vibrations. And one good thing is they affect us just the same as the evil vibrations or the undesirable vibrations of people. And so, mix with devotees as much as you can. That's why you should attend the meetings as much as you can. For your soul's good, even if you don't care about troubles. For your soul's good, it will help you. Because they emanate what they are, and their vibrations are good. And so, just a reference at this time from our Master on that very point. Good people are in this world, and devotees, saintly people, and saints, mix with them, or mix with the people who are mixing or following those saints and saintly people, and you will be helped. From St. John, what do we read first? For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light. I often think if some crooks would come, they wouldn't be at home here at all. They'd want to get out, get away where they enjoyed it. So it says in St. John, for everyone that doeth evil hateth the light. Neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. And then our Master says this in his autobiography of a yogi, a disciple is spiritually magnetized by the reverent contact with a master. A subtle current is generated. Don't you see vibration affects you? And if you mix with good people, that vibration responds in you, is generated from that person and responds in you and changes you, just as the Master says. The devotee's undesirable habit mechanisms in the brain are often as if cauterized. The grooves of his worldly tendencies are beneficially disturbed. Momentarily at least, he may find the secret veils of Maya lifting and glimpse the reality of bliss. And that is true. I see it many, many times, and I know many of you are conscious of it. When you come to a self-realization meeting where we are united in hearts and minds, you will feel the troubles lift. To be sure, they may come back again, but for a little while you get some relief from this dualistic turmoil, because the peace of God flows in through us. Finally, he says, if I entered the hermitage in a worried or indifferent frame of mind, referring to his Master's hermitage, my attitude imperceptibly changed. A healing calm descended at the mere sight of my Guru. Why? Because his Guru was a saint, and the vibration of that saint permeated his being and changed him. And so you can see, the final point is this, that if you mix with God within you, his vibration will penetrate you and change you. And so it is necessary to follow some definite metaphysical training to reach God. And then, reaching him, you can be in tune with him. His vibrations will change you and the troubles cannot stay. I have found that myself. I know many here in this room have found it. And so that brings us to this point that the best way to overcome trouble is to get out of this cosmic dream consciousness. That's the scientific way, because in the other consciousness, trouble does not exist. Every night in sleep, if you sleep well, where are the troubles? Well, they've taken a vacation, thank goodness. Why? Because you're out of the cosmic dream consciousness. Therefore, that's the key point this morning. If you want to tune out troubles, get out of the consciousness of this cosmic dream into the consciousness of reality, the presence of God within you. And therefore, some definite scientific meditation is necessary to do that. And that brings us to the point of tuning out trouble by attaining self-realization. This is the most important point. And you have the way, you have the techniques. There are none better, because our Master was one with God and he knew the difference between this cosmic dream consciousness and the bliss of God's presence. And he has said in some of his writings, without question of a doubt, bliss consciousness is God consciousness. We have to and will be able to get into that if we are to tune out trouble successfully. And the way is to follow the techniques of self-realization, fellowship, with its main techniques of recharging exercises, the highest technique of concentration, the highest technique of meditation, in which you contact the presence of God within. As the Holy Ghost, this one vibration from which all things have come. That technique will give you contact with that. And finally, Kriya Yoga, which is the greatest technique, is the fastest accelerator known, spiritual accelerator known to man. So there you have the ways and the means of doing something scientifically about getting rid of these troubles and tuning them out, attaining self-realization. That's the important thing. Attain self-realization. If you can do that, as our Master has said, it calms the dualistic turmoil by a divine inner certainty. You may not see God like a big man all around you, but you will have that divine inner certainty that will let you know he is, having that no trouble can disturb you. And that divine inner certainty is what? Your own soul, the presence of God within you. That's the way to tune out troubles in a real way, not in a half-hearted way, is to know God. In him there are no troubles. And so self-realization is the greatest thing. If you can attain self-realization, you help the whole world. Not only yourself, not only your family, but the whole world, in fact, the whole universe. Realize that. Those of you perhaps who are of a quiet nature, retiring, and you feel, I wish I could do this great thing as some people are doing, they're not doing anything. But if you feel the presence of God within, you will affect the whole universe. Such is the power of God. Isn't it worth knowing him? Some of the greatest saints don't say a word. Do not say a word. They don't open their mouths. They don't have to. That subtle vibration of the presence of God goes through them and changes the world. And to prove that, I'll read just one reference, then we're through, from Master's autobiography. And I want you to listen and retain this one point, if you will. Do not think your meditation is in vain. Do not think because you do not go around like I do, shouting some. It's not necessary. But feel the presence of God, and then we all will not have to shout anymore. And so we read this in the autobiography. The deeper the self-realization of a man, the deeper the self-realization of a man, the more he influences the whole universe. Think of it. One man in tune with God does more good to this world and the whole universe than all the saints and everybody put together. These are facts. How does he do that? By his subtle spiritual vibrations. And besides that, the less he himself is affected by the phenomenal vibratory flux, that is, by this cosmic dream consciousness, and more especially by the mind. If you can increase your self-realization, then you can supersede this worldly dream. And not only that, but you will do your part by influencing not just your family, yourself, your family, and this world, but the whole creation of God.